There we are. Hey, Facebook, what's going on? That's our Facebook camera right here. You've talked to our Facebook friends before.
For mostly.
Yeah.
There we are.
Guys, so excited. Bill Green's here.
So excited. Lindsay Mills is here. Is Lindsay Mills the best name in TV or what? Hi, Lindsay Mills.
I hate saying my own name. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
It's got a great lilt to it.
Ugh. I like this a lot. Shall we go inside?
Let's go do it. This should be fun.
This is News Center now. The GoPro, if it's still. It's a beautiful day in Rockland, and lots of families are on the Mid-Coast today to enjoy the annual Lobster Fest. There's food, rides, and an annual Sea Goddess pageant. But this year, the Sea Goddess was dethroned, and members of the Mid-Coast community are turning their backs on the annual celebration. Good evening, I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Bill Green, filling in for Lee Goldberg. 18-year-old Taylor Hamlin was just named the Lobster Festival's Sea Goddess and was preparing for the town parade when festival leaders asked her to step down. They say several people in the community complained about pictures of her on her private Instagram account that have since been deleted. One picture featured a vaping device called a Juul, and another showed her holding a joint. A number of her message does on Facebook saying, "You think it's unfair, but the Lobster Board of Directors is standing by its decision."
Because I know what I did was wrong, but I don't think that this is the way they should have handled it. Kids will be kids. It's legal in Maine, but I do understand I'm not of age and it's not appropriate for me to be doing it. So I get that.
I think there's a lesson for everyone. I think you have to understand in this day and age that the world is social media.
Now a new Sea Goddess is stepping in to appear in Saturday's parade.
So the directors say that the world is social media, and we all know how quickly bad posts and other things can get us fired or keep us from getting a promotion. But is it really fair to judge a teen, a young woman, based on posts she made? Experts say that's today's reality.
And as we talk about with either employees or with students looking for employment, they need to understand that they're starting to represent themselves in that public arena much earlier than they think that they truly are.
And we want to know if the director made the right call. Vote right now on our Facebook or YouTube live streams. Join the conversation. Bill?
Lindsay, there is some severe weather on the radar tonight, so let's go to our own Keith Carson, who's in the Weather Center, to tell us what's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Yeah, we got a lot going on right now, and some storms incoming to Portland, but the nastier ones are off to the west. Let's have a look at the radar and just a whole smorgasbord of thunderstorm activity out there. You're seeing a couple of different warnings out across New Hampshire where the strongest activity has been. The yellow is a severe thunderstorm warning. It's a gigantic warning. They basically just clustered all those storms together out towards Wakefield and just along the Maine border. Then the green there is a flash flood warning, some heavy rainfall in there. Now a couple of these storms back here have been hooking out and turning into what looks like spinners, the possibility at least of some tornadic activity in these. Now if we move closer into Maine, we've got another round of storms that's now taking place towards Sanford. Those are growing quickly. Those are inbound to Portland, to Falmouth, and eventually maybe to Brunswick as well. Some more storms to the north, but these are the ones to watch because through the day today they have shown signs of rotation at the mid and low levels, which means the possibility of some tornadic activity. In fact, look at this right here. One second, Rachel, just let me look at this one right here. Look at this cell that's near Waterboro along Route 5. That has definitely some rotation right there. And that's just popping up, so just give me a second here. So these are the kind of storms we're worried about, where we've got a little flow going on there and the possibility of some tornadic activity. So we'll keep an eye on these storms, obviously, as they continue to move on through, and possibility of some tornadoes. We'll have full weather, guys, coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Keith, thanks. Okay, now to the news of the day. Maine Speaker of the House, Sarah Gideon, is asking one of her own party members to resign immediately. In her statement, Gideon says allegations made against Democrat Dylan Bates of Westbrook are deeply troubling. A story published in the Ballard this week accuses Bates of manipulating female students into sexual relationships. We asked the speaker if she knew more about those allegations. A representative from the Speaker's office says, quote, several months ago, a member of the press approached our office with rumors regarding Representative Bates' behavior at the Maine Girls Academy. We confronted Representative Bates immediately, who denied the rumor, and we were unable to otherwise find any substantiation, actual proof, or evidence of any victims of the allegations at that point. We told Representative Bates that if any evidence or new information was presented that indicated there could be truth to what was then a rumor, that we would ask him to resign immediately. After the article was published yesterday, Speaker Gideon requested his resignation. Now, Bates taught theater at Maine Girls Academy. He resigned in November for what he called family issues. He has also taught and coached at Bonnie Eagle, Massabesic, and Greeley High Schools. Bates has not responded to repeated requests from us today for comment. Bates had already announced he is not seeking re-election. And the dog that attacked a family of 3 in Rumford was put down. Police say the 8-year-old Staffordshire Terrier was not licensed by the town and didn't have all of its shots. Police say the dog escaped its home through a broken window and was running loose when it attacked.
Countdown to launch. American astronauts will be launched from U.S. soil for the first time since 2011 as NASA partners with SpaceX and Boeing. The 9 men and women will fly on spacecraft not created by NASA but by the 2 corporations.
Very cool. Commercial flights are just one way NASA is dealing with continued budget cuts. Here's NBC's Jay Gray with more.
In a pep rally style announcement at Johnson Space Center.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our commercial crew astronauts.
NASA introduces a new team of astronauts and a new era in U.S. space exploration.
For the first time since 2011, we are on the brink of launching American astronauts on American rockets from American soil.
And they will fly for the first time in commercial spacecraft. If everything goes as planned, the Boeing CST-100 Starliner and SpaceX Crew Dragon will launch manned test flights early next year.
To have the opportunity to work with these great companies on something that is so important to our nation and to NASA, this is the stuff of dreams.
The new ships will carry 4 astronauts per trip
and liftoff.
Current Russian flights have 3-person crews.
It's an exciting time for human spaceflight and an exciting time for our nation.
Both companies must still complete the test flights to receive NASA safety certifications. Once approved, each is slotted for 6 missions to the International Space Station. Jay Gray, NBC News.
Now, neither Maine astronaut Chris Cassidy of York or Jessica Muir of Caribou were selected for the program. Cassidy has not flown since 2013, and Muir has not yet been in space.
All right, well, you may have noticed we've been playing musical anchors in Lee Goldberg's absence as he cares for his newborn baby with his family. And so we decided to take the opportunity and invite other Newsletter teammates to hang out with us. And Bill, you've had a pretty crazy week. Welcome back.
Thank you. I was on vacation until Tuesday night when I got back at 9, and then the next evening so I went from Marseille to Madawaska in a day.
I love that. That's got to be a first, right?
It is for me. And there I am on the right, using my French. I ordered a small ice cream with some pineapple.
Yeah.
And I think the waiter was joking with me, and he brought this huge sundae, which I enjoyed. And then up on the St. John River, there's a big muskie tournament coming up in Fort Kent next week, and 9 days away. And I caught that muskie with Del Harrington, a well-known guide up that way. So life is fun. It's going pretty good for me. You know?
Life is an adventure with Bill Green.
It's fun
in Maine.
And that's an example of what we did. We swung over to the Allagash. So it's been a great week.
Very cool.
Now I'm anchoring my first newscast in 25 years with Lindsay Mills.
I know, it's such an honor. You have some great stories of anchoring past newscasts.
Yeah,
including New Year's Eve.
Yeah, New Year's Eve of 1977.
Yeah.
I volunteered to do news, sports, and weather, so I think some people could have nights off and stuff.
Yeah, that's so
rented
nice
a tuxedo to make it look nice. And then I got thinking about 9 minutes of 11. I was quite nervous, and they played the sounder. I looked on the camera and I went, "Good evening, everyone. President-elect Jimmy Ford said tonight," and of course Jimmy Carter was the elected president. I was nervous. I stumbled.
Yeah.
I kept stumbling. The mark of a pro is you can straighten those out. I couldn't do it. And some guy actually called the station to ask if I was drunk, which I was not. But it was not a very good night for me.
You know what, Bill? I'm sure maybe you're the only one that remembers that ever happened.
Probably. Everyone else is no longer with us, I guess.
We're happy to have you here. Okay.
Thanks.
A widow down on her luck met a kind stranger in the grocery line, but it wasn't until he walked away that she found out he's a huge celebrity. That story coming up.
And the latest Madden NFL game hasn't even hit the shelves, but it's been hit with criticism. The details next on Social Side.
First water stop
to
take a big 1-minute lead.
Oh.
And I thought it was really
Normally there's a decent amount of hype when the newest Madden NFL video game comes out, but tonight it's a boycott against the popular franchise and the company behind it, EA Sports. It's accused of further blackballing Colin Kaepernick by editing his name out of a song. Madden 19 is not out quite yet, but some gamers got an advanced copy and noticed the edit in the game's soundtrack. The song Big Bank is used in the game and features YG, Nicki Minaj, 2 Chainz, and Big Sean. It's in Big Sean's verse where he raps, "You boys all cap, I'm more Colin Kaepernick." But that's not what one gamer heard while playing. Take a listen.
To the wolves, now I lead the packet. You boys all cap, I'm rare as affordable healthcare. To the wolves, now I lead the packet.
But once Big Sean caught wind of it, he slammed the company in a tweet. "It's disappointing and appalling the NFL and EA Games took Kaepernick's name out of my verse on Big Bank for Madden 19 like it was a curse word. When he's not a curse, he's a gift. Nobody from my team approved any of this." Now, EA Sports responded to the rapper with a lengthy statement admitting they messed up, calling it an unfortunate mistake. Quote, "Members of our team misunderstood the fact that while we don't have rights to include Colin Kaepernick in the game, this doesn't affect soundtracks." Now, they added an update is on the way to include include his name, but fans of the game, of Kaepernick and the artist are not buying the apology because this is reportedly the second year in a row this has happened. The Washington Post says his name was scrubbed from a song in Madden NFL 18 with the line, "She be hoping that I take a knee like Kaepernick." EA Sports has not addressed the reasoning there. Now, as for Colin himself, he thanked Big Sean for having his back. Bill and Lindsay.
All right, Katie, thanks. EA Sports, it's in the game. All right, the inspiring stories of the wheelchair racers going beach to beacon.
There is a way, you just have to find it.
What keeps them coming back to Maine every year? Next.
There are some suspicious systems out there. Will the storms hold together to wash out our weekend? That's coming up in Keith's full forecast. Ha! I thought they had the wrong video up. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So that's always a that he's always, I don't know, the whiteboard, it takes a long time for the whiteboard to come up, but you're good.
In the NFL,
right?
He's a pain in our butt. I'm not going to put him in my.
Fair point.
I probably would have thrown the song out.
Yeah.
Gotten something else.
It's actually a fair point.
But,
one of the arguments that someone on Twitter said, why include these songs at all if you're just going to edit it for that purpose? But the rights of Colin Kaepernick, they never described what it is when it's actually in the game, like his character, him as a player versus, referencing him in a song from a third party. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot of weird ones.
See, I would have, but you stay away, in this business, you stay away from legal, you know how we're crazy about that.
Oh,
so.
yeah. We have a rule here that we can only use 9 seconds of a song or something that's not ours.
Where do I read this?
Get ready for an award.
Okay, no.
You're fine, yeah. If you go back, exactly, yep. They're on the two shots.
Athletes from Maine and beyond are arriving in Cape Elizabeth for this year's Beach to Beacon race.
Yeah, so last night, after the newscast, I went over to Cape Elizabeth. I had to pick up my race bib, but I also met...
What's your number?
537.
Ooh, fast one, yeah.
Is that what it is? I was going to say. But I met some of the wheelchair racers and who come every single year. Some of them, one was 15. He's been racing since he was 10, and I love his story because he wanted to...
What?
Rach, what'd you say?
What?
Rach is talking to us.
Clarification.
She said something about sat.
What did you say? Oh, we're very sad
Rachel
too.
loved that story. Sorry, guys. Rachel was talking in our ear. Anyway, he wanted to race in a local race in his town near Utica, New York, but he couldn't afford the special wheelchair to be able to do so. So his 4th grade class raised the money for him, thousands of dollars, to buy a wheelchair.
Makes me cry.
And then he's been racing ever since. Really cool.
Athletes from Maine and beyond are arriving in Cape Elizabeth for this year's Beach to Beacon race. That includes more than a dozen push rim competitors who race on specialized wheelchairs.
They travel from all over, and many of them stay at the same place together every year. Their stories are enough to inspire us all to push through the finish line.
Being with a great community of wheelchair racers is awesome.
Christina Koros is from Cape Elizabeth, but she dropped by the landing to check in with familiar competitors who stay here every year. She signed up for her hometown race in 2011 and looks forward to meeting the women who come from all over to compete in the Beach to Beacon.
It's awesome because the first few years I was by myself.
Also arriving from away is 15-year-old Jason Robinson.
My dad's like, that would be a fun place to go because we've never been to Maine before. And I could do something I loved, so I got to go race in Maine, and I came out last year, and it was a very fun race.
The New York native knew early on he wanted to be a racer.
Well, there's a local race near us called Boilermaker, and when I was 10, I wanted to do Boilermaker.
But these specialized push-rim chairs are expensive.
So my 4th grade class raised enough money for me to have a racing wheelchair, and that's what sparked love of racing for me.
It was that same race that helped Herman Garrick get his head start.
They said, you know, try it in your everyday chair, and if you can complete it in under 2 hours and 15 minutes with the wheelchair challenge is what we have, doing it in one of these chairs that I'm in right now, you win a racing chair. So I did that when I was 15.
Garrick won.
And I've been racing ever since.
Now he races all over the world with Richard Agee.
It's so much more than just getting out there and pushing. It's the people you meet, the places the chair can take you.
Although their last trip to compete in Japan didn't go according to plan.
I trained for 5 years to go there. It was the first year in 35 years that they didn't actually have the race. I had a typhoon.
Up until 6 years ago, Agee was a runner competing in marathons until one small bite changed his life forever.
I actually got bit by a tick and got Rocky Mountain spotted fever.
A rare but potentially deadly disease.
It caused an infection in my spine and swelled my spinal cord up and crushed it. But changed my life for the better. I know it sounds weird, but I was working myself to death and didn't really have a purpose, and now I have both.
Athletes from all over and with varying stories of how and why they race. For some, the road was rocky, but the reward worth it to race along Maine's rocky coast.
And of the push room competitors, 5 are women this year, the most in recent history.
All right.
There we go.
Cool. We're going to talk about that forecast in a second.
Yes.
We got a lot of stuff popping up out there right now, so let's
get to it.
For once, I don't have much else to say. We'll just talk about the weather. We've got quite a few nasty thunderstorms across New Hampshire. This shaded yellow area is a severe thunderstorm warning, as is this, and you can see they're all moving towards Maine. So let's zoom in on this area. Had a couple of spinners out there about a half hour, 45 minutes ago, storms that at least look like they were putting down a weak tornado, and that's going to continue to be a concern here over the next 2 hours, that these storms have the ability to rotate and produce some tornadoes. So they're obviously about to move into western Maine along 25 there, coming out of the Lakes region and then down into Dover as well. We're going to watch these storms. There's another cluster, though, that is set up in advance of that, that's going to sail probably through Portland and just to the north into Windham and Gorham here. This is not severe right now, but it does have quite a bit of lightning, and it had some pretty good looking downbursts along with it as well. What we look for in this velocity data is any couplets that tell us these storms are rotating. I don't see anything too bad right now, but this is a product that we'll have up for the next hour, hour and a half. Make sure there's no tornadoes in those. All right, so all of these storms, of course, juiced by the atmosphere, which, look at these dew points, 73 in Portland, 73 in Sanford, so really tropical air. That's why they're making their way into Maine. They'll make it all the way to the coastline when often they fall apart when they get to the coast, but not tonight. Showers and thunderstorms all the way to the coastline through later this evening. 11 o'clock, they're more diffuse, more just shower activity at that point. Now, tomorrow morning, of course, we got the beach beacon that we've been talking about a lot. Here we're at 8 o'clock. So there's clouds, there's a few sprinkles, it's still humid, temperatures are in the 70s to start. Thunderstorms try to collapse to the coastline by 11 or noon, so it's going to be very close in the back end of the race as far as thunderstorms go. And then a cluster of thunderstorms will make it all the way to the coast later in the afternoon, and then we clear out in time for Sunday mid-morning or so. We start with some clouds, but by Sunday mid-morning we're in good shape, and Sunday afternoon looks good. Dew points, though, remain high, guys. We stay in the upper 60s, low 70s for those dew points all the way through much of next week. So the tropical air mass does not change, probably until Thursday of next week. So I like Sunday better. I think Sunday's nice from, say, 10 a.m. through the afternoon. Monday and Tuesday are hot, 90 to 92 degrees in most spots, including the coastline, by the way. You know what's been interesting about this pattern is yesterday, was it Rockland or Bar Harbor? The heat index was 96. You don't see that very often. Like, for them to be over 85 is unusual. So this humidity is the great equalizer when it comes to coastal versus inland. So that rolls on.
All right, thanks for keeping us updated on those storms too.
We got it.
All right, Kate, thanks.
I'm not enjoying the storms, but I am enjoying the summer. It's been a great summer, and this is a special day for a special person who's brought tremendous happiness to my life. August 3rd is TB12, Tom Brady's birthday. His wife, Giselle, wished him a happy 41st on Instagram. Aww. And to prove that he's cool, his colleague Julian Edelman posted this picture of the two of them on a helicopter with a hashtag, the tag, and a story apparently that said happy 51st birthday.
Right.
And he's my quarterback.
You gotta love it. That team, yeah, they're so great. And the best people are born in August. My birthday's in August.
Oh, happy
and Lee Goldberg's birthday's in August.
Birthday,
He'll
Lee.
kill me for saying that. All right, well, some of our favorite stories are about the complete strangers who go out of their way to help someone in need.
Indeed. A woman in a grocery store realized she didn't have the funds to pay for her food, and that's when the man in front of her stepped up. But it wasn't until he walked away that she realized who he was. Here's the story from Hotlanta.
She was down to almost nothing in her kitchen.
I was making rice and vegetables for me and the dogs.
Farah Jaramillo, struggling in many ways since her husband John died of brain cancer, left with nothing but her beloved rescue dogs and a broken heart. And then her water heater broke, and then a client, she's a freelance writer, was late paying her. A friend gave Thera a gift card to Whole Foods. And on Monday, Thera was in the checkout line, suddenly realizing she didn't have enough on the gift card to pay for all of her groceries. And the shopper just ahead of her told the cashier, "I got this." Thera said, "What?"
He turned to me and he said, I got this. And I looked at him and he said, all of this, don't put anything back.
Tears filled Thera's eyes right there at checkout, not recognizing at first that the man who told her that his name was Chris Ludacris Bridges, Atlanta's own megastar performer and rapper and business mogul. She hugged him, he left, and that's when the cashier spoke up.
And she goes, you know that's a famous rapper, you know that's Ludacris. And I went, what? And I screamed. I screamed.
Thera went home still stunned, told her friends on Facebook. They shared her story. The post went viral about this surprise encounter at a checkout line that she says people see as much more than a stranger, a star, buying someone's groceries in a time of need.
They see a light in a world that for a lot of people on whatever level has gone dark.
A light, she says, that is changing her.
Everybody can do something. Kindness is one of the most powerful currencies in the world, in that the more you spend it, the richer you get.
Thera knows from the news, bad things can happen in an instant.
But good things can happen in an instant too, and you can make them happen.
That's John Shyrick reporting from Atlanta.
All right, a lot more news coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30. Pat Callahan has a preview. Hi, Pat.
Hi, Lindsay and Bill. A young woman was slowly dying, and doctors didn't know why. We'll see how her Lyme disease went undiagnosed for so long, and what's being done to make it easier for doctors to diagnose the condition. And Bissell Brothers has a cult following among craft beer aficionados. Now that the Milo natives have made a name for themselves, they're ready to come back home. Those stories and more coming up at 5:30. News Center Now, back after this.
Now, what do we do?
Keith's gonna give us some brain drops over at the monitor.
Okay.
Let's say hi to our Facebook friends.
And then what happens? Then the show ends and we kind of wrap it up. I'll just say it's been fun, Lindsay. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. The Bissell Brothers. The Bissell Brothers' father is Jensen Bissell, who was the superintendent of Baxter State Park.
Oh, no kidding.
He ran Baxter State Park for years.
No kidding.
He retired last year.
You have to wonder because there is just such a following. Mark Willett says it's amazing there is so much talent at News Center 6. I think he's referring to you, Bill Green.
So anyway, we had a little bit more a couple months ago, right? That's what happened now.
What?
We had a little bit more before everyone quit a couple months ago. I said that the amount of quitters cakes is like taking a toll on my body.
Good. Not good, yeah.
What? They did? That one's coming. It's not that far from Maine either, right? Is that one?
So yeah.
Down
I
here.
can only see half our comments right now for some reason.
You what?
Some reason I try to check our Facebook comments.
Is it good or bad while the show's on?
You know,
Durham, right?
I guess it's interesting. It's different. Like I get to see exactly what you guys are saying in real time and what you're thinking.
Can I say is that the?
Yeah, they're
See,
over there.
it makes me nervous because while TV is a shared medium, it's been in this room until Facebook Live.
Right.
So I haven't done shows other than the Olympic Zone where people
you
are.
and Lee. Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know. There are some nights though where I don't know what I'm going to do for a story the next day until this Facebook Live happens.
Oh, sure.
And you guys ask some great questions, and we go out and try to get the answers, and it's awesome.
What do you want?
Just on one side.
On the other side?
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And Keith will just take it out of the break. Hey, Viv. I jump. Vivian just asked how I sit on the chair, and you guys have seen me. I jump.
Well, I'm 5'10". She must be 5'9".
On a good day.
5'8".
I'm like 5 even.
Are you 5 even?
Yep.
My daughter-in-law is quite tall. She's
Yeah,
like
there's some lightning not far from them.
Ungodly heels.
Unless they want to die.
Oh, really?
Stand by.
All right, yesterday we did the story on this guy in Ohio. Remember this, that to save a dog, and he had to go to trial because he didn't wait long enough by their law. So then we started to talk about how long is too long to leave a dog in the car, and you'd be surprised. So what I found was, this was Ohio in the summer, so say it was 95 degrees out, in 10 minutes it gets to 114. So you can live through that. As you get to 20 minutes, you're at 124 degrees. The thing that people don't realize, and I think can get a lot of dogs killed, frankly, look at 70 degrees. That doesn't feel that warm, right? If you're outside at 70, within an hour it's 113 degrees inside your average car. These are the temperatures, in my opinion, 70 to 75, that get dog owners, and sometimes kids too. They don't realize it.
Yeah, just got to be careful. All right, you got to get back to track and storms.
Yes.
Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Lindsay. Thank you.
It's been a ride. News Center Maine at 5:30 starts now. Nice job.
Straight ahead in this half hour.
Well, it shows them that there's more out there than just the CDC protocol.
Lyme disease cases in Maine continue to climb, and one young woman is working to make sure doctors have the resources and information to make sure.